Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you're from around the world. It's a safe space between us. I'm your host, Kieran, and today we have Lynn Hanger with us. Lynn, how are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you for having me today.
No, thank you. I apologise to you live that this has been organised a few times due to me cancelling and loads of things happening. But I appreciate your kindness of just going with the flow, so I really appreciate that.
Yeah.
So today, Lynn, is all about you. So just tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're from, what you do, and then we get started with your story.
So I'm in Denver, Colorado, here in the USA. So we have quite a large time difference here. I got started in all of this health and wellness stuff for my own personal journey. And so, probably from the age, I guess, getting out of high school, I had a lot of really bad chronic pain, a lot of medical mysteries. I went the Western route, tried all the things, saw all the doctors, never really got an answer. In school, I had the opportunity to study right at the base of our integrated program. So I got to pick and choose all the classes. So I was using my education to help figure out what was going on with me. And then just over the course of life, and traumas I had gone through, other physical ailments that just kept piling up. It just came to the point of I knew I really needed to do something. And so all of my background, even though I was trying with the foods, I was trying with the body-based stuff, trying to even go the Western route and really see what was going on through their eyes. Nothing really changed until I started practicing Ayurveda. And so most people know about yoga. Ayurveda is the sister science of yoga. So it really looks at the foods you eat in conjunction with your constitution, what's going on with seasonal. It took into account, my teacher was the first person to really validate, hey, you're having physical heart issues because of all the all the emotional and mental trauma
Mm,
and the emotional stuff. And so it ties together what's going on in your emotions and mind and the imprint that makes on the physical system, what's going on in your physical health, how that can imprint on your life purpose, on how you're thinking about things, how you feel. And so really it's been a long journey to first get well. And then now that I am well, and now that I have my tools, and the work never ends. You're always on the healing journey. You're always doing something.
yeah,
You're healing yourself or working to heal others. So now I'm on that side where balancing my own self-care, balancing my own inner work still, and then helping other people, trying to give resources and knowledge, and really just that hope that there's still more. We can still keep
yeah.
looking for.
It all sounds amazing, and then obviously as the conversation goes, we find out. Again, I'm not going to attempt before we come on air. I said I'm not going to attempt to say that word. Hopefully, by the end of this podcast, I can pronounce it. Um, I'm not the brightest with speaking, but so just start at the beginning. So obviously, we all have a journey, and to where we are now. Just tell us how you got to what you're doing now, and any incidents, any think that went through mental health, etc., for yourself of where you are today?
Yeah, it really started. I feel like my whole journey has been the balance of what's going on in my body and then what's going on in the mind, the emotions. I had a lot of the physical stuff. So, being in my young 20s, not being able to move with ease, it made it hard to
Mm,
work. It made it hard to do anything, just physically in chronic pain all the time. And then just the limitations of, can I work and can I do the things I want to do? After I had started doing yoga, I started feeling better in my body. And so I started getting better. In my young 20s, my dear, sweet, beloved, the love of my life passed away unexpectedly and tragically. And that just, it floored me, and it made waking up and doing all the life things really hard to do. And so, yoga, I was fortunate enough in my study program that they offered free yoga. And so that was my therapy. I tried all the therapy with the doctors and counselors. But to me, I understood what was going on intellectually, but the physical feeling of like the heaviness of the emotions, just the basic things that happen when you're in grief, not being able to eat, not being able to sleep, the stress of flashbacks, and all the things that happen with trauma. So it having something concrete like yoga, and then my original teachers taught yoga and Ayurveda. So the foods that we eat, what that does to us, changing with the seasons. There's a lot of body-based practices, and so we consider in yoga and Ayurveda our skin and our nerves. That's our bridge between mind and body. And so, no, I can't pull out my broken heart and physically look at it, but I can work with my skin and do massage and work with my physical tissues to create a sense of safety in myself, so that whether it's with a psychologist or whether it's with I like all the energetic healers and all the alternative medicine, but it allows you to have a grounding. And so I just kind of was always in the body-based therapies. With my education for my internship, I was able to take yoga training, and so that's how I started learning, not only for myself but professionally. Had the fortune of working at a yoga studio for many years, so that was like my little safe space of serving a community, being a part of a community, learning what the transformation can be when we actually do something consistently. I was in my young 20s, and chronic pain was so tight, so out of shape, and in class with people in their 70s and 80s standing on their head, doing back bends. And I thought, wow, I want to be that when I grow up. It showed me a different way that we could be. And
But you're
so,
still in your 20s now, aren't you?
no, I'm in my mid 30s now.
No, okay.
So the yoga and Ayurveda, it's like the science of longevity. And so
Yeah.
helping you to, what are you doing on a daily basis? The foods that you're putting in, are they going to be medicine to your system, or are they going to be toxic? Whether it's the type of food, is it chemicals in the food, or can you digest it, the wrong season, the wrong time? But then also like how you're living and moving in your life. Our
So
body is
how
represented.
would you say to someone like what food, etc.? So, for example, myself, I got an illness called sarcoidosis, which affects I get chronic pain from it. And what would you say to me, like, obviously, what kind of food is right, etc.? It's just so I can get an understanding, and anyone out there who's not sure what it is.
Yeah. So first we look at, I would start to ask you, we do a lot of intake, so we really get a big picture. So I would start to ask you questions about your appetite, questions about digestion, questions about elimination. Depending on what your symptoms are, it can tell me how your body is functioning. It can tell me if the foods you're taking in, if they're being taken in and accepted and absorbed
Mhm.
and actually taken into the system, or if they're kind of building up and creating toxins. So we start just like what's going on. So we would ask, what are the symptoms? Then we would look at what's your constitution. So we have a way of figuring out what are the elements that you came in with, and then how are they functioning now. So depending on you and who you are, what may be medicine for you would be different than for your wife or for a
Mhm.
friend. We all have those differences. So we figure out, who are you? And then how is everything functioning right now? And then based off that information, figure out, well, what do you need? We look at, well, what season is it? What's the climate like where you're at? All of those factors factor in. I would say, even like with you, like, what's your stress? If we're stressed out and we're eating the most beautiful food, guess what? You're not digesting it properly. And so we work at, it's always like, what came first, the chicken or the egg? Do we start with the food, or do we start with making you calm so you can actually digest the food? And
Yeah.
it's both, but we look at the big picture. And then for you, um, food is an ongoing journey. So what are you eating right now? Do you have goals? Are you trying to build muscle? Are you trying to lose weight? Are you trying to target a certain tissue? Like with your disease, like, can we target and really build up your nervous system? Pain is housed in our nerves. It could be housed in the muscles, so we can target tissues. So it's
I'm
deep.
I'm going to put you on the spot here, and I apologise. So you can slap me across the screen for this. So if how easy? So if I said to you, I've got illness called sarcoidosis. I take steroids, medication wise. Um, Even though I'm doing all this gardening, I struggle with a lot of chronic pain. My hands blew up, but my kind of food, I eat spicy food 24/7. I eat, like I just said, Chinese. Um, and so how would that conversation go? It's just so people there listening, and also because I'm finding it very interesting, and it's just so we can have a more understanding. So how would this conversation go next?
So let's back up and give you just like a little introduction of what Ayurveda is. So when I say some of these terms, you can understand it.
Mhm.
But we look at everything as a combination of five basic elements: ether, so space, then we have
Mhm.
air, fire, water, and earth. And so, based on your constitution, if I was just to read you right now, I haven't taken your pulse, we haven't done a deep health assessment, you come off as having a lot of water and earth, but you also come off with a lot of fire. So, I see your fire, and you're running this organization. You have all those different things that you're doing. You have to have fire to make sense of things, plan things. You're drawn to hot foods. So, sometimes likes like. So, on hot foods. But then you also have that water and that earth. You're so jovial, even though you're probably stressed out holding space for all these people, you're still smiling, you're still here giving. That's water. And then the earth is your ability to hold it down. I'm sure there's your own life stress and all the people in the community you're serving. And so someone has to have water and earth to hold a community like this down.
That
So
is so weird.
if
So weird
that's
because it's just read me. This is so weird. That's so weird.
so if that's your constitution, if you have pain, that's an indication of what we call a vata imbalance. So vata would be if there's too much space and too much air in your system. So maybe this go, 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 go lifestyle, this give, 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 even though you have the constitution to hold it down and you have that stability, maybe you're going over your limits. And then so it's drying you up in a certain way. All the hot foods that you eat, it kind of balances the kapha in you, the earth and water, because it needs some heat. You need that fire. But if it's too much, it would overheat your system. So you're probably and that we can get really deep, but pain, we can guess that you're probably dehydrated, or there's something off with the fluids. So maybe there's not enough lubrication where muscles need to glide or the joints need to glide. So we would look at from the outside, what can we do physically? Do we need to do body-based therapies and manually move the tissue, manually do it? But internally, let's figure out, what do you need to eat so you're not burning yourself up, that you can maintain that stability that you have. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it's very, very interesting. We've had a couple of comments saying it's interesting. Also, but we'll come to the comments near the end. But I'm just a bit like bedazzled because you've just basically read me like a book. And obviously, yeah, I've got my own personal stuff going on, but yeah, I don't tend to show it. But yeah,
We're all so unique, but there's patterns. So the goal of my job, the goal of when we try to get healthy, is to figure out, who am I and how is it presenting in this moment and what do I need to do? And we have so many tools we can use. Some people it's really easy and it's like, yep, they can move their body, that's easy. So give that to them. Some people can change their diet really easy. Some people are like, I'm never going to change my diet. What else can I do? So we want to work on all of it, but it's realistic, what really works for you. And once you figure out the patterns, then whether it's your own patterns, once you learn the elements and how they show up, you're going to see it in your kids, you're going to see it in the people around you, you can even see it in the animals, you see it in nature. So you know, like here, it's a really cloudy day, it's rainy. So my daughter woke up with congestion. And so, well, then we had, depending on what we ate last night, if we ate something that created mucus, well, then great, she's showing up and it shows up as a quote unquote cold, but it's just maybe the food we ate outside, maybe she didn't digest it. So it's very practical in terms of, what are we doing today? How do we adjust what we're doing? It's summer, so it's like, oh, she wants to eat all the ice cream, but I know for her, she eats too much, she's going to get too much mucus and cause a cold, so it's all finding the midline on, we're still humans and we want to enjoy our life, and we want to do all the things that can cause imbalance, that we're humans, but how do we keep on track and have fun and enjoy our life, but then know this is what we're doing on a regular basis to keep our balance.
I find this very interesting, and I think we need to book in a session after this. But yeah, no, it's just very interesting, and it's just like you basically just read me like a book. And usually I say no one can read me, but yeah, you just gave my secrets away to the world. So just obviously, so firstly, I want to say I'm so sorry of what happened when you was young, losing your loved one. Obviously, I know, sorry, you don't mean much, but I am deep down, and I know that must have been tough for you. So obviously, talk to us more about. So I'm going to try it. How do I say the word?
Arya Veda.
Arya, Arya Veda. I don't know if I can say that. Arya Veda wellness, but also you do coaching as well.
Mhm.
So talk to us a bit more about what else you can do and what kind of people can come and seek your support and help.
Yeah. So a big piece is a lot of us, I guess there's different categories of people. A lot of people know what they should be doing, they're just not doing it. And then there's the category of people where we really don't know what to do it. Then there's those people who are doing things because that's what they think, but it's not really getting them the results that they want.
Mm,
So as much as it's, I can tell you all the perfect things to do, it's a art as much as a science. Scientifically speaking, this is what's going to happen when there's fire or water or air. It's really basic. Fire is hot, water is wet. If there's too much wetness somewhere, it's going to be a problem. Too much fire somewhere, it's going to be a problem. Too much air somewhere, and we use different words. The West says arthritis, we say vata imbalance. That there's swelling, we say kapha imbalance. So different words to describe the same thing. But it comes back down to, once you know what all of the different elements are, you can be choosing these real specific things. I kind of forgot what your question was of. So I guess Ayurveda, it's really the science of all those things, but the coaching piece comes in. How do we do it? How do we bring it forward
yeah,
in our lives? And have you ever heard of the compound effect?
no,
So a lot of people in the coaching world, there's an idea, atomic habits, the compound effect, this idea of if we do something, even if it's one tiny thing, but we continually do that one tiny thing over time, that ends up being bigger and leaving more impact than if we do these big
right, okay,
consistently. So when you're eating a certain food, if you're always eating a certain food that's going to take you out of balance, over time, chips and salsa becomes poison. Alcohol becomes poison. Ice cream becomes poison. Spicy food becomes poison. Not one time, but hundreds and thousands of times of doing something if it's harmful to you. So the idea is, let's learn, what do you need to be doing on a regular basis. Most of us, um, we all have some sort of imbalance, whether we came in with it, or it's just we've caused it. So the coaching piece is really helping you kind of comb through the tangles of your life. What's going on? Some people, it's more physical. They're really working on a physical disease. Some people, it's mental, emotional. But Ayurveda is like this ribbon that ties it together, that says, if you're having this physical disease, there's an imprint that's happening on all the other layers that need to be addressed too. So, yes, let's physically get you out of pain. But I would also ask, well, is there a deeper pain? Because if we're not addressing the physical, or if we're not addressing the mental and emotional pain, it may show up in our bodies. And so
yeah,
the tissues of the bodies can give us an indication what's going on in the mind and the emotions. So we use both to figure out. So then we try to just figure out what's going on, and then slowly just start taking it bite by bite, step by step. Life is life. So I have this grand idea. I'm going to work out 5 days a week. I'm going to get that booty. I'm going to get that snatch waist. But then it's like, oh, the reality of my life is I'm exhausted. And going to work out that much is actually going to cause an
yeah,
imbalance because I'm using my precious energy. So then I need to work with my mindset. What's a realistic goal? And then really look at, well, is it appropriate to do that goal, or do I need to do some pre work to build up my strength, build up my inner reserve so I have that? And so it's helping people to prioritize, helping people find that clarity and tie all those pieces together, and really working with where you're at. Some people are so overwhelmed. I have one woman, her husband's about to die. He's on hospice. She doesn't need a full treatment plan. She just needs to lay down and help me, and I'll help her do hands-on work to just calm down. Some people are ready and rigorous. They're ready to go. So we do a treatment plan. They're ready to go. They go. Other people need to have their hand held. So it really depends on where you're at in the journey, and what you need. And then we just
yeah,
down, what kind of tools do you need? We address all of it though, because if you're not well in your emotions, you're not going to be well in your mind, and you're not going to be well in the body. And it's this ever moving target that we're going for, because you sleep wrong. So you wake up a little angry. You might be snappy with someone. You might, all the different things that can happen. So how do we regulate and know it's not me, I'm bad because I'm having anxiety today. It's windy outside. I didn't eat, I have an empty system. My heart can start fluttering, so it's looking at things from the elements so we can empower ourselves to know how to stay balanced.
So just a quick one. So obviously, you say me and you, I'm with you, and you're doing a session with me, and I'm suffering really bad chronic pain, and obviously you spoke about the food and stuff like that, but the pain's still here. What can you do? Like, do you do anything physically, or do you recommend stuff?
Mhm. I do stuff physically. I started off with yoga and body work, and so I come from both ends of the spectrum. So physically, if we were here, there's physical manual stuff we can do. Have you heard of the concept of fascia?
Yeah.
So there's a practice I do called fascia blasting.
Mm,
So I can manually do it or teach you how to do it. So there's body-based things. A lot with pain is a lot with the nervous system and a lot with our skin. So we do a lot of oil therapies. And so we would probably teach you how to do these oil therapies so you can do them at home. The big piece is with pain, and it's interesting because I've worked hands-on with people. I've done yoga with people for many, many years before I started doing the Ayurveda piece and even my own physical pain. When you get the gut settled, the gut is where all of these doshas, all of these elements, that's like
yeah.
their home. So if they're not in their home, they're in your body causing chaos. So the goal is get everything back in its home and the disease starts to go away because the vata, so the space and air went back to your gut and it's not in your shoulder, it's not in your back, it's
Mm.
not in the hip. So we can do manual stuff, teach you how to do manual stuff, but the real work is that compounding effect of let's look at it. I had a lot of pain, but when I look at my story, I had a lot of loss. I had a lot of uncertainty, a lot of stress. All of those things can create vata. So whether it's my
Yeah.
physical environment, my physical climate here, we can go from 80 degrees down to like -12 within like an hour. So
Jesus.
those crazy extremes, what that does to our nervous system,
Yeah.
think, am I bipolar? I'm fine. And then I'm not. Well, when it's a sunny day and it's 80 degrees outside, life feels good. But when, 15 minutes you shoot down to 20 degrees, it's like, the system is going to have a response. And
That's
so,
what I was going to say, because I have a lot of cold showers these days, and to be fair, that stops me having the moody mornings. I can't. I find it very good for my mental health, but it affects my chronic pain so much more. That's the
yes.
problem.
So what you have an interesting type because a lot of your main emotions, earth and water, are cold elements. And space and air are cold elements. You have the fire, so you do have that heat, but it sounds like you're having that. It's almost like the heat's not in the right place. So when we work with the cold, if you're cold, that's going to aggravate vata. So you need some sort of heat. So we would say, can you break a sweat and internally kind of heat yourself from the inside? Because that can help with both kind of when we get in those heavy moods, lack of motivation, we just like it's really hard to take action, we're slow, and then also that pain. So that sense of we're in physical pain, we need to bring
Mm.
heat into that area. So hot shower, hot pack, generate the heat from inside, heat from a drink. So we could get you even on herbal teas and different things to sip on throughout the day.
Okay, that sounds interesting.
Yeah.
So I'm intrigued. Of obviously, you've gone through a lot of stuff.
Mhm.
Is this what helps you help with your mental health and etc., or tell us what does actually help, or is it helping other people and your work?
Yeah. So it's all of it. I do look at my training that I went through. It was as much about let's learn disease and let's learn the foods and the treatment, as much about that type of information as embodying these practices.
Mm.
Do you physically know what it feels like to be balanced? Is your mindset balanced? Have you worked on your trauma? Have you balanced the emotions? Do you know what your purpose is? So all of those deeper pieces have to be addressed in it too. So in terms of my self-care practice, I have narrowed down when I get into, anxiety or fear, what are solid tools I can use, and then knowing if I have something coming up that would elicit those feelings, what do I do to prevent that from coming up? Or if it's whatever goal that I'm working on, certain habits that I'm doing are working towards that. And so I know with trauma, with pain, with working on some of these things, I told my daughter, God puts a little bit of pain in everyone's heart, and our job is to learn how to deal with it. So whether you had a little bit or a lot, it's a lifelong process. And so I have my morning practice. I have practices that are just embedded in my life now that I know when I'm doing good, and I'm upgrading. I'm trying to get skills. I'm reading books. I'm doing upgrading. When I'm not so good, I have space there to hold the space for myself to do the practices. Do I need to sit and cry for a couple hours because that's heavy? Or do I need to do the body-based practices? Do I need to get on the mat and do my yoga? Do I need to get in the gym and lift weights? Do I need to call a friend and just talk about it? So Ayurveda looks at, there's so many different types of medicines. And in my life, I had a lot, I had to work on. And I do think of that now as a blessing, because now I know what it's like to walk through the valley
Mm.
of darkness. And I really know, and now I know what it takes to get out of that. And so um, I don't know everything, and I haven't been through everything, but Ayurveda looks at these patterns. And so it's helped me. My biggest goal is to establish these habits for me, for my family. And then really the goal is, I can tell you all day how cool this is, but the true benefit is, do you have something you can do? Consistently do? Do you have enough knowledge to know when to break the rules and how to adapt the rules to actually get what you need? So that's kind of the whole goal is, one, keep doing my practices so I stay up on it and I stay balanced to hold the capacity to do this type of work. And then just continuing to try to get this work out there for people and educating people. Now with the internet and Zoom, there's that ability to do things online. There's the ability to do things in person. I think people since COVID are a little bit more intentional about their connections. They're questioning things more. They're realizing, am I living life on purpose? What would happen if something happened to me or a loved one? And so I think the climate in our culture is perfect now. People are wanting this stuff more than ever because we realize collectively we're sick. Here in
Yeah.
America, it's like, oh my gosh, every day, how many school shootings, how many mass shootings, how many this, how many that.
Mm.
I mean, the Denver Nuggets just won NBA. And did I want to take my kids down to the parade? Yes. But did I? Because no, there was just a shooting when they won. And so it's like the world we live in, whether it's the foods we eat or the way we interact, it's also connected. And so just raising awareness of like, hey, we are all suffering. We're all in this together, but we just think we're so isolated, which is part of the problem. Let's break that. I love, that's why you guys do what you do, right? Let's break the stigma.
Mm.
Let's talk
No,
about
I love everything what you're doing, and I really do. But if you don't mind, can we just get your view on, obviously, the stigma, mental health, etc. So before I discuss what I think where I am, but what is it like where you are? Are people open? For you personally, is your circle supportive? Um, I'm intrigued.
Where I live here in Denver, it's a pretty progressive place. We've got yoga studios on every corner. There's lots of mental health and wellness places. Very open and tolerant, and be who you want to be type
Mm.
place. So I'm very fortunate to be in that type of city, so that this type of work is accepted. Personally, I still think people are waking up. I have had to just take responsibility of like, a lot of people in my life do not think like me, and I am kind of the oddball out. And so I've sought out like-minded people. I have my yoga community, I have my Ayurveda community, I have almost like therapeutic friends where maybe they're not of any belief system or any traditional practice, but they're about that growth and positive mindset. So
Yeah, did you say you're the odd one? Is it because you talk about mental health and you're doing stuff for supporting mental health? Is that what you believe? Is that what people are making you feel, or is
I guess when I first started, and this was, gosh, say 15 years ago, this
Mhm.
whole idea of holistic health was still so woo-woo. There wasn't organic foods in the store, so even that concept of what we eat could make a difference on how you think and how you feel. That is still, even still, some people look at that as there's no connection, which we could argue about that all day. There's a definite connection with the foods you eat and mental health. But that it was still seen as so woo, body-based stuff, yoga, Ayurveda. I had one woman who was very religious kind of say to me, "Well, I pray for guidance for you," and it's like, I'm really just talking about the foods you eat, and just because I said the word energy, it just turned her off. So everyone
Yeah.
has a different mindset. Um, it does sound kind of woo woo to some people. We're talking about the elements and the flow of energy, but it's actually very scientific, very practical. If you don't absorb the nutrients from your food, you're not getting energy through your system.
Mhm.
Stuff is building up, toxins are building up. It's a really basic concept, but sometimes languaging in different people's mindsets can turn things off. So I guess when I say the oddball, I'm around, I mean, unless it's in those communities, a lot of people who are just, I go to the Western doctor, I do whatever they say. They don't look at exercise, that could be medicine. They don't look at the foods that they eat could be medicine. They don't realize their toxic relationships and the way that they interact with people could be something. And so I guess the oddball out meaning, I guess I'm the one trying to shine the light, saying, we need to address all of these
Oh,
things.
yeah, yeah. If
Quite
in
there.
my view, I would say they're the odd ones. The reason I would say that is because of, I didn't know any. For example, I'm not the brightest. I do put every bit of energy into something, but today, just talking to you for 33 minutes, um, I've just learned what you do and how beneficial it could be to for me. So it's just about really listening to it instead of like there's some of the words you've mentioned. uh, Yeah, it might have went over, but you've explained. So to me, I just think people out there are the odd ones out because they're not willing to listen and to discuss. Because I think it's the taboo of mental health, or it helps with your chronic pain and stuff, and then people don't want to listen. And that's where I think society is at the moment. That's just my view. So I don't think you're the odd one out. I think they're the odd ones out.
Yeah. And I think, like you said, with that idea of the stigma, I think it's been conditioned in us to associate vulnerability with weakness. And people are starting to recognize we have to talk about these things that are going on. That's how we break the cycle. That's how we educate people. That's how we keep each other safe. Um, and I think it's almost like the pendulum. We were like so restricted in so many ways. And then it got so loose where it's like, how can we find a new way to live? We're living in an interesting time in history. There's a lot of really massive changes that have happened in the last 50, 100 years that have changed the whole course of history in terms of different technologies, in terms of just social, economic things, and everyone can, I guess we can go on and on about the real history and all the different things. But just in terms of how much change we're facing, how do we adapt to these changes as parents, as
Mm.
people, when our food sources are changing, when the medical system is changing, transportation is changing, global communication. Here we are, on opposite ends of
Exactly.
the world, and we can connect. And hopefully
Yeah.
I can give something of value, you're giving me something of value. Isn't that what it's all about?
And just before we continue, so you have children. You did say you have children. Was it? Yeah.
Just
So just is your child old enough? They go to school?
yes.
Yeah, so just a quick question. What is it like at school for the child with mental health or anxiety? Because obviously children go through anxiety and stuff, and that's what I'm trying to fight around here, but hopefully globally. But it's what is it like near you or with your child when the highs and lows?
Yeah.
What's the support like at
I
school?
guess, I'm coming from that mindset of we have to get resourced. Even
Mm,
if you think you have enough, it's always good to try to have people and stuff. And so personally, through all of our life journey, I am resourcing myself, and now I'm stable enough where she's resourced. So she has a
Yeah.
counselor. She's getting that one-on-one help to talk about the things that have happened in her life as much as she can understand. She's 9. At her school, we're really fortunate to get into a small community-based school. She's been there since a kindergartner. It's a really small K through 12 school. The school itself is structured around community, and we're coming together. We're not just members here, we're a crew. We all matter. So I intentionally have tried to craft a community of people and start to dig in and do those things. I myself didn't have that. And I loved the community I had when I was at the yoga studio, but when I left that job, I didn't have that same community. So really intentionally trying to plug in and get her a school where she's gone to school now 3-4 years with these people. I know the parents, they know me, we know all the kids. So we're intentionally creating this community. I'm intentionally seeing where there might be deficits in her life, and how can I do from what I can do on my side, whether it's herbal or food or our body-based habits. We're trying to journal, we're trying to do tapping. So I'm trying to do these things with her, so she just learns this is how we deal with things, but also get
Mm.
her support from the outside. And I taught kids yoga for many years. I still have a family I do kids yoga with. And so part of it is just educating people, especially kids from that young age. Sometimes we have big feelings. That's okay.
Yeah.
Identify what it is, and then again have that tool to move through it. So are we moving it through by the way we move our body, through journaling, through our breath, through talking about it? Maybe we need to go, let some aggression out and some pent up energy by doing something physical. And so I think I came from the background. I think a lot of people come from that background of let's just avoid it, or hush, hush, let's pretend it doesn't exist. But I'd like to, in my own life and help other people, we have to bring these things.
Mm.
And as a community, I'm not perfect. I have days where I'm on and I'm off, but when I'm around a loving community, it's like, hey, what's up? This isn't you. And me being able to say, oh, it's that time of year where I get triggered, or oh, that thing that gets me, and having people to say, it's okay. We're here and we all understand things happen. And isn't
No,
that
and I love that. I think every community should be like that, and I totally applaud like you and all the other parents who are gelling like that, because it sounds like you're working together to build a brilliant community. Unfortunately, here, where I am, for example, so I'll just tell you my quick view. So, for example, it's been very hot in the UK, like the hottest it's been for a long time. It's like we've been in the Maldives all of a sudden. Um, and everyone, obviously, I've got a dog behind me. You would get someone post, let's say you're on social media, someone will post, keep your dog safe, obviously, no brainer. You would get hundreds of, and I mean hundreds of people sharing it, commenting. Then you get someone like me, and it's not just me, other people who would say about mental health, not a safe space between us. Let's not talk about safe space between us, about mental health. Check in with a friend. You get nothing. And to me, it's I get very angry, passionate about bullying, um, and mental health not getting taken seriously, and a few others like sexual abuse and stuff like that. But obviously, they're major things that I think majority of us get upset. But mental health and bullying is one thing I've been fighting for, and I will keep fighting for. And I just maybe you can tell me. It sounds like your community is brilliant. I just don't get why people are so scared to just say, "Hi all, if you need to talk, check in, DM me." You don't see that until someone's committed suicide. So I just don't get it. I don't know if it's like that, what you see from where your end, but that's what I see on social media, the media, etc. And people I know as well who say they took mental health, but I don't see nothing. And it's not about here. It's not about safe space. They can support Joe Blogs. They can support you. They can support whoever. I don't care who it is. Just there's just too many people killing themselves.
Yeah.
I don't know if do you see what I'm seeing, or is it because your community is very, and it sounds like your community is doing really well. And again, I applaud it.
I do. I mean, I do see all of that. I totally validate all that. I'm intentionally trying to create something because of what's going on in our modern
Mm,
society. And I think the sad fact psychology teaches us that people really don't care until it influences them. And people really don't, they're not, even in terms of like the health stuff, people really don't take action until it gets so bad. And it's sad and it's tragic. And I think that's why people like me, all the teachers who I listen to, anybody who's been through anything that has any sort of wisdom of like, please do this so you can avoid this pain, unfortunately we don't hear it. And like they say, it's like the drug addict, until they hit rock bottom
mm,
they have to want to change. Or weight loss, you have to want to change. Healing from alcoholism or drug, all those different things.
yeah.
So it's sad. And even I think unfortunately, someone who I knew was in my life even was in mental health, was a counselor, and still resorted to that. So you would think even in that industry, when you know that there's resources and whether it was his own trauma or secondary trauma, I'm not quite sure, but even in that field, you think you have the resources, and why
Mm,
was that? And I don't think sometimes I think I just feel like we could go on a rabbit hole, but is it about getting out of pain? Is it about being seen? Is it about, that point of surrender? I think everybody has a different reason behind it. But again, I think from the end of prevention, can we just start embedding these healthy things back into society? Because some of these normal things that are normal to humanity are considered luxury. Healing touch, having a safe space to talk about this, community, some of these normal things that we've had for generations and generations, we haven't had in modern times. The stress of parents being a one family parent, and it's like having to do all the things. Who doesn't have stress nowadays? All the things that we're exposed to with the
yeah.
media, all the different toxins. So I think it's sad, but it's like, that story of the the star, it's like the starfish on the beach, where it's like one starfish at a time gets saved, one at a time. And then hopefully we change that cycle. I hope now my kid's going to be that kid out there where
Mm,
hopefully I've broken my family lines and my trauma enough that she's a healthy person out there in the world. You're a healthy person. You're trying to get your family healthy. Anybody who's out here open, when you're open, here's resources. But if you're not open, we can try to shower you with resources, knowledge, everything. If you're not
you,
open, you're not open.
exactly. You gotta wanna do it as well. And but that's what I've chose. So obviously, like yourself, PTSD and stuff like that, I've suffered trauma and stuff like that, and got my illness. But I choose to have a better mental health now. I'd rather suffer with chronic pain. If I had to choose, which I had to recently between two medications, I'd rather have a better mental health and suffer in chronic pain. Um, and it's just I've realised, because I was one of those people where, and I don't know if you've listened to my story. It's I used to be there and think I'll never be in a dark place. I'll never. What happened to me at 14? I'll deal with it. What happened to me last year? I wish it on not even my worst enemy, because he was the darkest place ever. And I just don't get why society around the world, where people just think, because I believe we're all going to suffer with mental health. We're just in a queue. Because I believe mental health covers a big picture. Um, so yeah, hopefully, and this again, I love how we can connect. This is one good thing about social media. We can connect, and I've met, like yourself, so many amazing people who around the world are trying to make a difference. And hopefully, together we can do that. And if not, I'm going to kick every door down in the world.
Well, have you ever heard that? I forget the specific quote, but it's like, when you have like a candle, I can give light to you without it taking away from my light, and that light can give to others. And so, creating, whether we're normalizing talking about mental health, we're normalizing talking about the impact on all these different factors on health. and adapting to the challenges we have now. But the more we raise that awareness, the more we share that light, it keeps growing and growing and growing. When we're isolated, when we're in a sense of fear, when we're in a sense of desperation, that's when we make bad choices.
Yeah.
Creating these places and inviting people, and it's like the idea of planting a seed. It's like you plant a seed and you have to wait and you have to wait and keep watering it and nourishing it and giving the right things. You don't know what's going on, you have to wait, and then when it comes up, it comes up. And so
Mhm.
maybe 12 years ago people weren't listening to me when I was saying this or that, but now it's like, okay, here we are. Like, you've seen me go through all my stuff. Well, here I am. I'm on the other side. I'm not perfect, and I don't need to throw myself under the bus of mistakes I've made, but there's a way to get better. There's a way to regenerate physically, mentally, emotionally. There's a way to regenerate the earth. There's a way to clean things up. And when we're not around people who have a positive attitude, who have a way, who have an idea, we're stuck in limitation. And so connecting people, are they ready for the resources, or do they just need to know this is here if I ever want to go to it? Because I think
Yeah.
we've all had that sense of, I know what I should be doing, until whatever it is that makes us do it. And so just letting people know this is here, this is available. I think societies, governments are starting to recognize we have to take this seriously. Can we get it into schools and teach people about stress regulation, teach people about nonviolent communication, um, safe boundaries with touch, safe boundaries with all these different things? It's slowly happening. It's a slow process, but there is a movement towards it, which is encouraging.
Yeah. No, I agree. I agree. And just before we wrap up, I just want to give you the floor to talk about or mention anything that you feel is necessary, one, for what you do, and two, that may help someone out there suffering. And what would your advice be to them?
Yeah. I guess my advice would be to not give up. I know how that is, whether it's the physical pain or the deep and dark places we go in our minds and our hearts. Reach out and get support. I think I don't know if you know the term learned helplessness. Uh,
Mm,
there's a psychological term where it's, if someone just keeps getting discouraged and discouraged, you eventually learn to just give up. That's actually the safer option than to keep trying and face defeat and face rejection or not really get what you need. And whether it's the physical ailments we go through or all the life trauma we go through, we can give up. And so getting connected with the community, getting connected with practitioners, there's a lot of practitioners, and figuring out what resonates with you. Do you need acupuncture? Do you need massage? Do you need to go work out with somebody? Do you need someone to help you cook? Do you need a babysitter so you can rest? Do you need, a dance class? Do you need to get dating again? Do you need to work on it? So there's lots of different medicines, lots of different things available now than ever before. And so just knowing there's something out there, you just have to keep looking.
yeah.
Whether it's the alternative world or even if you're just going strictly Western, there's a lot of really cool, amazing things that are coming out. And so if you do not have the resources, someone else does. Facebook, we have so many groups available. Even insurance companies, even in the Western, here, one of our insurance companies had on one of it was a legitimate Western, all completely Western, but tapping. So EFT, emotional freedom.
Mm,
So
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I was so shocked. So insurances are starting to recognize we have to take things seriously. And so check with your insurance provider. What do you have that's covered? You might be surprised. Things are
Mm,
changing. If something's not covered, figure out what you need and find a way. What good is all these fancy clothes and all these things of the material world if you physically aren't here to enjoy them, or your kids are suffering because you're in a state, so value your health, value the foods, value people and movement, and get with someone who can help you, because there's a lot of people out there who have so much to offer.
yeah, 100%.
Courage to step forward and say, I need help, because the people who are in the helping position, we're here to help. We don't judge. We love you. But then when you're the one seeking help, it's like, oh, I don't want to tell everyone
Mm,
stuff. But knowing the people who are in these positions to help, we know, because most likely we've been there, which is why.
exactly, yeah.
And just don't stop. Just keep getting help. If you don't get an answer there, keep going. There's
No, I
always
love that. I love that. I do have one more question for you, but before I go ask you that question, it's just come to my head. But there's a few comments, so I'm just going to go through the comments. They're going to come on my screen to under my name. So, well, I won't put that. Someone, this comment started as, I think what key is definitely go, go, go. I think when you mentioned about what I do, so maybe this could help with my. I can never say this word. I'm sorry, I'm not the brightest here, but yeah. So what you do, would that help?
So in terms of legality, I can't legally say I like cure fibromyalgia. Through the doshas, the way we look at fibromyalgia through the doshas, we're going to look at what's specifically going on in your case. And then again, like we said, all the different factors. So we can't say we cure fibromyalgia. We can say we can balance and tonify your nervous system, balance and
Hmm.
pacify vata dosha. Again, that idea of they're using the word fibromyalgia, we may be using different words. So yes, I think a lot of these chronic diseases, that's where Ayurveda shines. If you
Yeah.
break your arm, please go to the ER, get your arm reset. But if build up your bone health, there's certain foods you can do, there's certain exercises you can do. So fibromyalgia, it's one of those conditions that there's many different factors that contribute. So in my experience, a lot of people with fibromyalgia come from some sort of abuse or some sort of trauma. A lot of the sexual trauma, actually, to be quite frank. And so how do we create a safe space in the body through doing that deeper inner work? And then how do we also create that safe space with, are your nerves having what they need on the micronutrient level? Are
Mm.
you physically getting the things you need? So we can't say we cure it legally, but we can do a lot of things
Well,
that.
it's just interesting because I think I know who's written this comment, and you've mentioned trauma. And if it's the person I think it is, which I think I'm definitely sure, it's just weird that yeah, you've connected. So you're a very bright person, very bright. Um, so, so Kerry's put everything's connected. So I think what she I see that come up when you was talking about the fire, the earth, the water, and stuff. So is everything connected in one way or another, or?
We look at everything as a different combination of these things.
Mhm.
Some has a little bit more fire, some it's more water, earth, but everything in earth, we need all of these elements. So the body's showing up with different things, different animals show up with different characteristics, different climates, it's showing up. But if something's happening to a physical action of the body, something mentally and emotionally is also being influenced, and even deep into our spirit. And so whether it's how we wake up in the morning, how we go throughout the day, everything's showing up. So we can look through the doshas and look at the different elements and see, wow, I'm really fiery when I'm talking to that person. Or maybe if there's a lot of water, maybe I'm actually a little bit more sad and teary and connected that way. And so there's nothing, nothing is wrong. It's just, is it showing up in a balanced expression or unbalanced expression? And then knowing what you do to one, you do to all. So whether it's in your physical body, I can't take a piece of food in and say, please don't go to my liver or please don't go to my pinky. It's all connected. You hurt in one place of the body, you hurt everywhere, just like a family. If one member of the family is hurt and sick and suffering, everybody is sick and suffering to some extent.
Yeah.
We're worried. So whether it's in our bodies and our families, we've seen with social media here, something can happen clear across the world and it impacts me. I don't know those people, but just how we're all connected. And so honoring the physical elements in all the ways, because it's life. So
Mm.
Ayurveda is Arya means life and Veda means the knowledge of. So it's the science of the knowledge of life. So in all the forms. So definitely everything's connected. It's all about how do we support life.
No, I love that, and I am very intrigued to learn more about this. I really am. So definitely. Um, Obviously, I've realised you've been a member for a while on a safe space between us, haven't you?
For a little while, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I'm just intrigued to get, and don't just be nice because we're here, because I know everyone is nice. Just on your views, like I keep getting told off because I'm one of those like I want things happening now, blah blah blah. But I forget we've only been going for 8.5 weeks. I think it's 9 weeks Sunday coming. Um, how have you found a safe space between us? Honestly, I want to hear positive and a negative, and it has to be a negative.
I really love I feel like I can feel how much passion and love there is, where I know there's different groups, and I get it as, the wellness and helping profession, we need to find a way to make money, we need to keep the lights on, but I can really feel you guys are so heart-centered, purpose-driven. Literally, how do we get the resources to people's hands? Like you were just sharing all the gardens that you're physically going to do for people. So it's not just this fluff and buff, hey, how are you doing today? It's we had to reschedule because you were showing up for a member in your community, which that is, I respect that. I get it that there's times and schedules, but to know that that's at the heart behind what you do, I love that. And I think that's what it takes for people to feel safe to be vulnerable to participate in a group like this and be able to get something from what you do. Um,
Improvement or negative? Let me mute you when you say this. I'm joking. No,
I don't have to think
I
about
always want to know. Do you know what? I have messaged old old guests yesterday and asked the same question, but unfortunately, you're the first one who's getting it live. So no, seriously, we just we need to improve. There's always stuff to learn and improve in life. So nothing, anything you say isn't going to make me cry. I'm not going to hear it anyway. You're on mute. I'm joking. Um, but yeah, just what have you seen that you think could do better for members? So before you answer that, so behind the scenes, we do. It's more about like me. I've to pass my courses of mental health and signposting and stuff like that. So we kind of, I think, 249 people around the world we've supported by doing I say the dirty work of finding them the best free service in near their doorstep of depending on what they're suffering, anxiety, trauma, sexual abuse, whatever. But obviously, there's always room for improvement. I think I need to stop talking because I'm scared to hear the improvement. But go on.
I wonder, and I guess this is not a knock on you, but just as the healing community, that sense of overgiving. How can you, and maybe like you're doing all this stuff for free, great, and we need that, but it's also
Sorry, I just put booing noise on. Joking. Sorry, sorry, I'm booing it. Go on, carry on.
But I wonder if there's a way, if you're giving so much away for free, there has to be an energetic tie-in. There has to be some sort of something people have to give. Is there a way people can donate so the people who have means can donate and support those who do not have the means? I think offering those opportunities, people who have it want to give it, they don't know how. So do you guys have a clear way for people to support financially? Do you have a clear way for people to support hands on the ground? Even as like the practitioners, is there a resource that you need from people? All these different people. Can we help build your toolbox for people? Can we help from our ends build clear resources, maybe systemize what you do? I know how hard it is in community, and this person needs this and this person needs this. So if you're just in the beginning, how can you guys systemize what you do? I know a group like this with so many different avenues of whether it's a sexual abuse, bullying, trauma, chronic illness. How can we have it organized so people can really, who's coming in? I feel like all those people are probably coming in overwhelmed. So I just feel like everybody, how can we create those clear channels of what are the clear ways people need to get help? And then those who are better on the journey, who can give back, how can they give back? Is it time
Yeah.
to donate money? They can donate. Um,
No, I get that. I do get that, and obviously, I have so many ideas, but I need to put breaks down sometimes because I will confuse and overwhelm members alone, let alone the volunteers behind the scenes. No, I appreciate that. I really do. And it makes totally sense. So thank you so much. But seriously, from the bottom of my heart, if there's anything we can do for you, if maybe if you're interested, maybe we can organise a live session. If you're happy to do that, it doesn't have to be me. If one of the girls behind the scenes want to get involved, one of us would do it with you. If there's something you would like to do, just show people what exactly you do, and that would be lovely to get done. And yeah, if there's anything you need, your links. Anyone listening to this today, tomorrow, next week, next year, the year after, Lynn's. I just had a brain freeze there. Lynn's links are all in the comments, and it's on the YouTube channel, and I will post clips of this on TikTok and Instagram as well as the weeks go on, starting tomorrow. But from me, I want to say firstly, thank you so much for I've actually learned something, which sounds amazing. And it, and someone's just put, I need her in my life. No, not before me.
There's plenty to give.
No, and so yeah, and I do believe that someone will listen to this like me and think, you know what, I want to give this a go, and it will help someone. So I want to say thank you so much, and also a massive thank you of understanding that how many times I have changed. The times, the dates and stuff, and I really want to thank you that you've just been so laid back about it, and I really do appreciate that. It's took a lot of stress off, so I want to say thank you for that.
And thank you for having me, and just a big thank you for what you're doing. I know how hard it is to try to do all these things. So to keep showing up and coming with that, I hope you get your self care so you can stay strong for all your family members and all you need for your life. And thank you for hosting this
I
community.
think my care is, and I keep saying this to my volunteers because everyone tells me, just think about yourself, think about yourself. You're going to be no good, blah blah blah. If you're dead, blah blah blah. But my care is supporting others. I gain a lot of fire in that, and this took me 34 years to get here. But I think running around for everyone else, trying to help with charities and causes and stuff like that, and talking to amazing people like yourself gives me that extra passion. Just honestly, before I come on to talk to you today, my energy was down, so down. But now I'm coming off. I'm ready for the next podcast because people like yourself give me that fire. So I know it's hard for people to understand. You probably understand that, but a lot of people around me don't understand why I say that and why I carry on and I can't rest. But again, thank you so much. It's been an honour, and we'll stay in touch anyway. And every guest I always message every other day. If you get bored of me, just tell me to do one. But yeah, but yeah, let's just let me or Carrie know, and we can sort something out. We'll do the live show and of what exactly you can do in an hour or whatever. I'll be up for that.
Yeah, I would love to.
We've had a lot of thank yous. Thank you, Lynn. Thank you. I need her in my life again. Again, you're not. It's me first. No. Lynn's sharing. But ladies and gents, I want to say thank you for watching. If you do watch this later and not live today, please give a comment. Please click on Lynn's links and give her a shout out as well. Lynn, thank you so much again.
Much. Thank you.
No worries. And thank you everyone for watching. This has been Safe Space Between Us. I've been your host, Kieran, and our super guest, Lynn. Take care.